Good evening and welcome back to Degreelessness, everybody, where against all reason and better judgment, yes, the Help Me I Am in Hell show continues. I'm your host, Shanghai Pete, champion of the people, and your good buddy in the mix. We got a lot to get to today, so let's get on with the getting deep inside. Just time for a quick recap of the weekend. It began as many catastrophically absurd anti-consumer weeks in the video game industry tend to, with Activision Blizzard. Yes, sadly, this week it was announced that everyone's favorite non-sequel, Overwatch 2, would be doing even more to fail to justify that too. I mean, everybody knew Overwatch 2 was bullshit from the jump. Some people didn't want to admit it, but we all knew. And if you needed any further confirmation, Blizzard has now finally come out and said, LOL PvE cancelled. Fucking ouch. How long have they known this was going to happen? Likely quite some time. Didn't matter that the game was being marketed with PvE as its title feature, didn't matter how many people bit the bullet and bought this garbage, foolishly believing Blizzard and all their promises, and it certainly didn't matter what effect a betrayal like this would inevitably have on the customer base. Talent trees, scrapped. Standalone versions, scrapped. Missions and stories, scrapped. It's textbook overpromise and underdeliver from the leading name in overpromising and underdelivering. Of course, there was huge consumer outrage and backlash, and of course, Blizzard dealt with it in their customary fashion by telling everybody to get fucked. Can you believe that Blizzard was once known as one of the top devs in the industry? Amazing. Sorry to everyone who's looking forward to this. It's super shitty, but, you know, it's not very surprising. Moving on, we've also got the Mortal Kombat announcement, which for fans of the franchise, it's pretty fucking sick. Personally, MK2 is my favorite, and I'm down for the reboot. You can only get so far into the double digits before you start looking silly after all, so a reboot sounds fine to me. And it's on Switch too. Wow, that's surprising. What's not surprising though is that not only will it be a full $70, it will also be $70 on Switch too. We've got multiple editions and pre-order scams announced, as well as microtransactions and content paywalls. I mean, I'm fucking with you, Mortal Kombat, but damn, y'all make it real hard to get any good news off these days. Jesus. Finally, for our main story tonight, we must discuss the recent PlayStation Showcase. Oh boy. As these things tend to go, the whole gamut from good to bad all the way to boring is represented. And let's get the boring out of the way first. It was mostly boring. There were about 30 games shown off, and to be honest, I was meh on most of them. I do try to give credit where credit is due, however, and much to my surprise, a good portion of these were actually shown to be PS5 exclusives. Imagine that. Whether they all actually require PS5 hardware or are simply being paywalled to PS5 though, I couldn't say. Grats Sony, only took about 3 years, but you're finally managing to put out some next-gen exclusives. Very impressive. Next, some honorable mentions. First goes out to Foam Stars for being the most blatant Nintendo ripoff since Nintendo ripped themselves off with Tears of the Kingdom. Not just anyone can pull off an idea like Splatoon, it really takes a dev like Nintendo to make that work, and frankly, I don't think Sony has the riz to do it. We'll see though. Second honorable mention goes to Grand Blue Fantasy. I'm sure JRPG fans everywhere will be overjoyed to know that one, they're still trying to make this a thing, and two, that yes, against all odds, it continues to be in development. Considering its origins as a mobile gacha game and that Platinum Games pulled out in 2019, I don't personally have much hope left for this one, but if it ends up being good, I mean, cool. Fantastic. Moving on, let's talk about a few games that I thought looked pretty good. First up is Phantom Blade or Phantom Blade Zero, whichever. Chinese Dark Souls, perhaps. Hopefully it'll turn out better than the last game to be labeled like that, but either way, it looks pretty fucking dope. I'll probably be terrible at it and play barely for just a couple hours, but nonetheless, bullish on this one. We also saw some footage from 505's Ghost Runner 2. I love the first one, cyberpunk, first-person ninjas, dystopias, just checked all the boxes for me. Hopefully number 2 is more of the same. Ultros looked cool as well. No, not the octopus, just some sort of LSD meets Jeff Vandermeer Metroid. I don't know, count me in for that though, looks fucking sick. Next up, we of course need to mention Dragon's Dogma 2. I had a lot of fun playing the original. Hopefully this will be more of the same. We got lots of gameplay shots, plus some great footage of non-com areas like towns, tavern-style interiors. Should be pretty dope. We also got a trailer for Alan Wake 2. I was a little surprised that we didn't get any more pomp and circumstance prior to this. It's kind of a big deal, or maybe it's just a big deal to me. I don't know. I love Remedy's bizarre X-Files style shared universe. The first Alan Wake was great, and I love Control, so I'm looking forward to this. Looks fucking sick. Lastly, and I'm kind of surprised that I don't see more people talking about this, fucking Marathon, geez, what? Maybe Marathon is too boomer facing for people to recognize it, but for those of you who don't, That's where Bungie first got it poppin'. Back in '94, when most normal people were playing stuff like Doom or Rise of the Triad on PCs, Bungie, for God knows what reason, was busy tossing out Marathon and FPS for Macintosh, of all things. No one really played it, or its two sequels for obvious reasons. No one had a fucking Mac in 1994, but they were legitimately cool games. And I was all set to start slobbing some serious Bungie knob at this announcement until I found out that it's an extraction shooter. Womp womp. Can we maybe stop with all these lame, samey, bland, online-only shooters that always die within like a year? I mean, for fuck's sake, the entire PvP FPS scene is just bloated as fuck at this point, with tryhards that all want to be the next Fortnite Escape from Tarkov or PUBG. Ugh, way to kill it before it even gets off the ground, Bungie. Go back to not making Halo games or disappointing people with Destiny 2, whatever it is that you do. Let us know if you decide to do something sweet again, and no, sorry, another live service FPS that'll be dead in 6 months doesn't count. Go fuck yourselves back into the hole you crawled out of to make this sad announcement. Following that disappointment, we also got some PSVR nonsense that I don't care about. I've stated my opinion on VR multiple times, no need to repeat it here. Instead, the year of the remake marches on as we move on to the star of the show, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Yes, I know. I was going a big rubbery one and flipping the fuck out at this too, just like everybody else. My humanity has not been completely destroyed, at least not yet. And while I typically do hate to pour cold water all over everybody, well, sometimes I hate it, sometimes I like it, it's gotta be asked, how good can a remake that doesn't involve Kojima, even in the slightest bit, actually be? I mean, hey, maybe the answer is really fucking good, and that would be great. But I'm not counting on it. There's simply too many unanswered questions at this point. How much are they planning on changing it? A little? Not at all? What about the voice actors? Are they going to bring back David Hayter, or are we going to have to deal with fucking Kiefer again? Are they using the same script? What about the codec interactions? Will those be truncated or otherwise edited, or are they going to leave them stock? Are the boss fights going to be changed at all? Will the gameplay be adjusted? And why is there no 3? Does that last one matter? Probably not, but it's weird and it makes me nervous. These are all things we need to know, and frankly, even if we did, don't forget, this is fucking Konami we're talking about. You would have to go back literal decades to find even a single instance of them doing anything right. To be honest, guys, this terrifies me. MGS3 is not only the best Metal Gear game, but maybe one of the best games of all time. And to have some half-baked amateurs under the guidance of Konami, without any input or influence from the original team, the franchise creator, or the game director, go in there and just start hacking it apart to try to resell it to a new audience, I don't know, it sounds pretty fucking dicey to me. Guard your wallet and your enthusiasm carefully, my friends. I know I've been hurt far too much. But, I mean, all those caveats aside, if this is actually good, would it be one of the best things to come out of the game industry in like 10 years? Yes. Yes, it would. Do I expect them to pull it off? Do I expect that to be the case? No. No, I do not. Now, before we move on, I'll just go ahead and pause for a moment here so you can downvote the video because I said something that made you sad. Oh, and there was also a screen attached to a controller that Sony announced, but it can only stream directly from your PS5, so it's DOA as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is just amazing to me. What are they thinking? First, they fail with the PSP because they couldn't grasp the simple fact that people don't want a home console experience on the go. No one is sitting on the fucking train trying to feel immersed in a cinematic gaming experience. People want to play some Mario Brothers real quick and get off at their stop. And to make matters worse, for some unfathomable reason, they also slapped a motorized disk drive in that thing? Fucking brilliant. Did you guys not even test the battery drain on that? You know you could have just used a solid-state cartridge, right? But no, you're Sony, you had to try to be all fancy. How'd that work out? Not satisfied with getting their shit pushed in by the fucking Nintendo DS of all things, they then somehow managed to fail yet again with the PS Vita, and then once more with the PS Vita Go. Like, what in the good fuck are you guys thinking? I guess, though, in a way, you kind of got to hand it to them. You'd think they'd be running out of ways to fail at making handhelds at this point, but against all odds, it seems like that's the one area they're capable of innovating in. Can't wait to see what they come up with next. Maybe a PSP that only works on cellular data. Sweet. Anyway, that's our show. Thanks so much for chilling, spending a little bit of your free time with us tonight. We love you today. We love you all the way. Let us know what you think of Sony Showcase in the comments down below, and we will catch you next week. Remember, you know I'd do it better. I got 3 or 4 buttons on my cardigan sweater.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out. smoke a blunt, then I'm back down. Back down. What? Yup, woke up, smoke a blunt, then I pass out. Pass